Hey guys, Mr. Happy here and welcome to Final Fantasy Bestiary. This series is dedicated towards discovering the history and lore behind some of Final Fantasy's most iconic creatures and characters. This episode we are going to look at Final Fantasy's favorite fox, mouse, whatever you want to call him, Carbuncle. Like most Final Fantasy creatures, Carbuncle has an interesting inspiration from real-world history. It is said that the Spanish conquistadors found Carbuncle when they first came to America. Carbuncles were described as small birds or mammals with gems in their forehead. This gem was said to be formed from the brain of a dead dragon. Sounds cool to me. As such, catching a Carbuncle was believed to be good luck. Now, Carbuncle is a character that has been in the series for some time with varying roles. Most commonly, he is associated with summoning, as in many games he is a very support-heavy summon, granting protective boons and healing allies. His appearance is that of a small fox or rodent with a gem protruding out of his forehead, iconic of his name, which is also a word for red gemstone. His fur is most often coated in multiple colors to signify his association to light and its spectrum of colors. Despite being most known for his fox or mouse-like appearance, Carbuncle did make one appearance in the series prior to being given this role. And he looked like this. Yeah, that's right. This beauty comes right out of Final Fantasy III, where he is encountered as one of the first enemies in the game the player will encounter. I'd love to try and justify this appearance somehow, but let's just assume based on the name that this thing was supposed to be a red gemstone. Thankfully, when he reappeared in Final Fantasy V, he took on a more rodent-like appearance and gained his signature forehead jewel. He is depicted as far more dangerous looking and far less cute in later remakes of Final Fantasy V. He is encountered as a boss in Castle Exdeath and becomes a summon should the party defeat him. He simply casts Reflect on the entire party, but that can be pretty crucial for defeating some of the bosses in that game. In Final Fantasy VI, Carbuncle was simply an Esper you obtained as part of the main storyline in the Magitech Research Facility. He was able to teach several supportive spells such as Reflect, Haste, Protect, and Shell. That's a tongue twister, making him an excellent Esper to place on any supportive character. Carbuncle skipped over Final Fantasy VII and instead joined in on the fun in Final Fantasy VIII, where Carbuncle became an optional Guardian Force you could obtain from the Iguion's boss in the first disc or from one of the bosses on the final disc. This appearance is somewhat of a mix of his Final Fantasy V and VI appearance. His color scheme is more varied, but he still possesses the kind of wild hairstyle from Final Fantasy V. He again simply casts Reflect on the party in this appearance. Final Fantasy IX saw Carbuncle returning as Eiko Carol's Eidolon after entering the Ifa tree. At his base, he casts Ruby Light, granting Reflect to the party, but different gems could be equipped to change this effect to other lights such as Diamond and Emerald lights, granting various other effects. One thing to note is Carbuncle takes on a very unique appearance in Final Fantasy IX. He doesn't look quite like a rodent anymore, and he doesn't quite yet look like a fox, though his tail is more fox-like. He just seems to fit into the Final Fantasy IX world a little bit more here. Final Fantasy X did not welcome Carbuncle into its game, likely due to the very unique way summoning worked in the game. However, Carbuncle was granted one of the most important roles in the MMO Final Fantasy XI. While some may view him as simply the first summon you get in the game, quote-unquote, Carbuncle's role in the world is far more important than that. He is one of the 5 terrestrial avatars alongside Fenrir, Diabolos, Bahamut, and Phoenix. He contains the power of the light and as such is commonly associated with rainbows. Whenever a player unlocks the summoner job, a rainbow will actually appear in that area that all other players can see for a short time. Carbuncle is tasked with protecting the Mother Crystals of Vana'diel and ensuring that the people of Vana'diel can live in peace. To do this, he helps a lowly summoner gain the power of the 6 celestial avatars to enhance his strength. Once strong enough, Carbuncle eventually tasks him with obtaining a portion of their power and using it to summon Fenrir at the Full Moon Fountain. This power is only enough to summon the beast for a short time, where he wishes to see if Vana'diel is worth saving by testing the summoner's power. While the summoner is now able to use Fenrir's power to assist them in the protection of Vana'diel, Carbuncle is not fully pleased by this outcome, as Fenrir is still unable to manifest his physical form to protect the world. When approached at Lathine Plateau again, Carbuncle gives the player a Rainbow Resonator and tasks him with bringing out and capturing the true power of the 6 celestial avatars, a power far above what they've encountered before. With this power, he seeks to resurrect Fenrir in the Full Moon Fountain and ally together with him to ensure Vana'diel's peace. When the player brings the fully charged Rainbow Resonator to the Full Moon Fountain, the Celestial Avatars refuse to let Carbuncle use their power to resurrect Fenrir. They instead begin draining the power from the Full Moon Fountain themselves, now able to physically manifest in Vana'diel, and plan to use it to resurrect their own god, which is only assumed to be Promethea. Carbuncle panics as the Full Moon Fountain losing its power would likely mean the end of Vana'diel as they knew it, and as such attempts to kill the player to sever the link between the Celestial Avatars and the Fountain. The player finds themselves caught in a battle between the avatars and must defeat them all in order to end the events taking place. Carbuncle unleashes his full power but is unable to defeat the summoner. Now having absorbed all the power himself, the summoner now has the fate of Vana'diel in their hands. Carbuncle pleads that they return the stolen power to the Fountain. If the player decides to, Carbuncle thanks him and leaves behind a faded jewel. If the player refuses, Carbuncle uses the rest of his power to take it back. A truly epic story for this fearsome fox. Moving on to the much less exciting Final Fantasy XII appearance of Carbuncle, it always feels like, when I get to this point, we follow up an epic Final Fantasy XI story by stating that that enemy was an airship in Final Fantasy XII. Well, Carbuncle was an airship in Final Fantasy XII. Nothing else to say here. Like most of Final Fantasy's iconic summons, he does appear in Revenant Wings, though, as an Esper who has a unique ability of healing multiple units at the same time. In Final Fantasy XIII, Carbuncle is actually a fal'Cie who provides Cocoon with food, and as such is not the target of the heroes. The regular, summonable Carbuncle from prior titles in the series does appear as a doll across Final Fantasy XIII, XIII-2, and Lightning Returns. The fal'Cie Carbuncle does die when Orphan is defeated at the game's conclusion. Finally, in Final Fantasy XIV, Carbuncle is the starting summon that Arcanists get at level 4. He initially takes on the form of Emerald Carbuncle, who specializes in casting offensive magic. Through training with fellow Arcanists at the guild, he can eventually also take on the form of Topaz Carbuncle, who takes on a different role and is far more durable, able to tank basically. A third form known as Amber Carbuncle is summoned by Yurion J, but it's believed to just be a stronger version of Topaz. Now, of course, Carbuncle does make several appearances outside of the general numbered series. The Fox-like Carbuncle appears in what seems like every Final Fantasy game, including Tactics, Dissidia, Chocobo Racing, Chocobo Tales, and the trading card game. He even appears in the Dragon Quest series. Some less common appearances include his Crystal Chronicles appearance, where Carbuncles are actually a race of people in the Crystal Chronicles universe. Regardless of when or where you see your Carbuncles, try to catch it and bring yourself some good luck. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share to your friends if they are Final Fantasy fanatics as well. Be sure to check out the rest of the Bestiary series, I would appreciate that, and the rest of my channel. Also be sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter to get updates about when I'm posting videos or if you just want to pick my brain. And of course, follow me on Twitch where I do live stream Final Fantasy XIV, Diablo 3, Dark Souls 2, Final Fantasy X and X-2 next week, whatever. I play what I like and hopefully you'll have some fun too. But anyway guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.